We convince ourselves that solitude is safe, that when the door is locked and the lights are out, we are truly alone. It is a comforting lie, because the truth is too heavy to bear. In the digital age, you are never alone. Someone is always watching, someone is always listening, waiting for the moment you look away. Sarah thought she had found the perfect job, a quiet archive, a night shift, a building empty of people. She didn't know that the silence of the fourth floor had teeth. She didn't know that every sigh, every whisper, every secret she spoke to herself in the dark was being written down. This isn't just a story about a stalker. It's a story about the death of privacy. It's about what happens when the person supposed to protect you is the one hunting you. And the most terrifying part? It wasn't the attack that broke her. It was the notebook they found afterwards.
Seattle at night is a different world. The rain doesn't just fall, it drowns the city. For Sarah, 23 years old, the job at the law firm seemed like a lifeline. The pay was incredible. The hours were brutal, 10 a.m. to 6 a.m. But that was the point. She wanted to be invisible. The building was a monolith of glass and steel, 10 stories high. But at night, it became a tomb. Sarah worked on the fourth floor, the archive. Imagine the smell of old paper, the hum of industrial scanners, the taste of stale coffee and dust motes dancing in the blue light of a computer screen. That was her world. There were only 2 heartbeats in that entire concrete shell, Sarah and Elias. Elias was the security guard, a man who seemed to be made of gray static, pale skin, greasy black hair, eyes that looked through you, not at you. He sat in the lobby, staring at a wall of monitors, silent as a grave. For the first few weeks, Sarah felt safe. She would put on her headphones, listen to true crime podcasts, and lose herself in the rhythm of scanning documents. She thought Elias was just shy or maybe socially awkward. She didn't see him as a threat. She barely saw him as a person. She was wrong. The first signs were small, glitches in the matrix. Her computer screen would flicker, turn black, and then turn back on. At first, she blamed the storm or the old wiring. Then the text documents started opening themselves, empty white pages where words would appear, typed by invisible hands. "It's cold tonight. You look pretty in blue." Sarah laughed it off. She thought it was a prank from the day shift IT guys, a harmless joke. She didn't realize that the eyes watching her weren't miles away on a network. They were just a few floors down.
Tuesday night. The storm outside was battering the windows, shaking the glass like an angry fist. It was 2 a.m., the witching hour. Sarah was alone in the archive, humming a tune to herself. Suddenly, the intercom buzzed. It wasn't the external phone, it was the internal line, the one that should never ring. The sound cut through the silence like a gunshot. Sarah froze. Her hand hovered over the receiver. She expected Elias, maybe checking in, maybe reporting a leak. She picked up. Hello? Silence. Just the sound of breathing, wet, heavy, slow. And then a voice. It didn't sound human. It sounded forced, mechanical, like someone trying to mimic a human cadence. The case is closed, Sarah. It is time to turn out the lights. The line went dead. A cold shiver ran down her spine. Elias had never used her name before. Why did he sound like that? Why did he sound like he was acting? She needed answers. She needed to see his face. She left the safety of the archive, walking to the elevator, but she decided to take the stairs down to the lobby. She reached the security desk. It was empty. Elias wasn't there. But the monitors were active. The blue glow of the screens illuminated the empty lobby. Sarah stepped closer, scanning the feeds. Parking lot, empty. Lobby, empty. Stairwell, empty. Then she looked at the feed for the 4th floor, the floor she had just left. Her heart stopped. There, on the grainy black and white screen, stood Elias. He was standing right in front of her office door. He wasn't moving. He wasn't checking the lock. He was looking up, straight into the camera lens. He was looking at her, looking at him. He smiled. Not a friendly smile, a wide, frozen, exaggerated grin. His head tilted to the side at an impossible angle. In his hand, he held a set of keys. Slowly, deliberately, he raised his hand to the camera and mimed the motion of locking a door.
At that exact moment, the building groaned. A crack of thunder exploded directly overhead, and the world went black. The power died. The hum of the ventilation stopped. The lights vanished. Only the emergency lights flickered on, bathing the hallway in a sickly, blood-orange glow. Sarah backed away from the monitors, her breath coming in short gasps. Clank, clank. The sound came from the main entrance, the heavy metallic sound of chains. She ran to the glass doors, locked, chained from the inside. Elias hadn't just gone upstairs. He had sealed the tomb before he left. She was trapped. 10 floors of darkness, and somewhere above her, in the orange shadows, he was waiting. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. The screen was blindingly bright in the dark. Unknown number. She opened the message. You like podcasts about disappearances, don't you? That's what you listen to while you work. Sarah dropped the phone. She had never told anyone. She wore headphones. The only way he could know that was if he had been watching her, not just on the security cameras, but through her own webcam for weeks, maybe months. Then she heard it. Footsteps. Heavy, deliberate steps on the metal stairs. He was coming down. He wasn't running. He wasn't rushing. Why would he run? He knew the doors were chained. He knew she had nowhere to go. And then came the sound that would haunt her forever. Laughter. A high-pitched, detached, hysterical giggling echoing down the concrete stairwell. "Little bird," he called out, his voice distorting in the echo. "Little bird, the storm is here." Sarah didn't scream. Instinct took over. She knew she couldn't go up. He was coming from there. She couldn't go out. The doors were chained. The basement. The server room. It was the only place with a heavy steel door, and the noise of the backup generators might mask her breathing. She ran. She slipped off her shoes to move silently, feeling the cold tiles through her socks. She reached the basement door, opened it slowly, praying the hinges wouldn't squeak. She slipped inside into the darkness. The basement was a maze of pipes and shadows. She found the server room, slipped inside, and locked the deadbolt. She curled up in the corner behind a rack of blinking servers and dialed 911. She whispered her address, tears streaming down her face, forcing herself not to sob. She waited. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. Then the handle of the door jiggled, gently at first, then violently. He was there. "Sarah," he whispered it right against the metal door. "I know you're in there. I can smell your perfume." He didn't try to break the door down. He just stood there. She saw the beam of his flashlight sweep under the gap of the door, illuminating her trembling feet. He started tapping on the metal. Tap, tap, tap. "We are finally alone," he whispered. "Just you, me, and the dark." For 20 minutes, he paced back and forth. He described what he was going to do. He described what she was wearing. He recited lines from her private phone calls. He knew everything. Then sirens. Blue and red lights flashed against the high basement windows. "Police, open up!" The glass of the main entrance shattered upstairs. The sound of heavy boots running across the lobby. The presence on the other side of the door went silent. No more tapping, no more laughter. Sarah waited until the police broke down the server room door. She collapsed into the arms of an officer, shaking uncontrollably. They swept the building, floor by floor, room by room. They found the chains on the front door. They found her shoes in the stairwell, but they didn't find Elias. The rear emergency exit in the basement, hidden behind old boxes, was wide open, swinging in the storm. He had vanished into the rain like a ghost. The police searched the security desk, looking for clues. They didn't find a weapon. They didn't find a plan. They found a notebook, a thick black ledger. Inside, there were no security logs, no shift reports. It was a transcript, pages and pages of handwriting, recording every single thing Sarah had said aloud to herself for 3 months. Page 42. She sighed at 10:03 p.m. She hummed a melody at 11:15 p.m. Page 89. She called her mother. She said she felt lonely. And on the very last page, the ink still wet, one final entry. Tonight, the glass breaks. Tonight, I touch the bird. Sarah never went back to that building. She moved to a different city. She changed her name. Elias was never found. But sometimes, when the storm is loud and the thunder shakes her windows, her phone rings. Unknown number. And when she picks up, there is no voice.
just the sound of slow, wet breathing and a soft, distant laugh before the line goes dead. We think our walls protect us. We think our locks keep us safe. But privacy is just an illusion we tell ourselves so we can sleep at night. Listen closely to the silence in your room. Are you sure you are the only one breathing? Subscribe and lock your doors.